Hi, I'm Paul Bono for Piano with Willie, and in this lesson we're going to be learning a really classic, really popular Motown hit, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. So the first thing that I want you to do, first things first, is go out and buy this track. So go to Amazon or iTunes or anywhere you can buy this music and download the Marvin Gaye version of this recording. I Heard It Through the Grapevine has been recorded by a bunch of different artists and bands over the years. It's been covered by a lot of different musicians. But the version that I really love and the version that we're going to be learning here in this lesson is Marvin Gaye's version. So make sure you get that recording. And I really enjoy doing lessons like this because these kinds of lessons and the sheet music that you're going to get in this lesson, they really didn't exist when I was trying to learn a lot of this music. And what I mean by that is, I've always been able to find sheet music for a lot of these songs. But what I would get when I found that sheet music is sort of one person's solo piano arrangement of the entire song. So when you think about it, there's piano, bass, drums, guitar, background singers, lead singers, all those musicians on the record. And basically the sheet music a lot of the times is just taking that melody and writing it down in the treble clef staff of the piano and then creating some sort of like left-hand chordal accompaniment and creating sort of a solo piano piece of the entire song. And I really I wasn't drawn to that necessarily. I wasn't really interested in that. What I was always interested in was specifically what did the keyboard player or the piano player on the track, what did he or she play? What did they do? What role were they playing? What notes were they playing on that specific recording? What specifically were they doing? And that's really a question of transcribing, meaning trying to figure out note for note exactly what they played. So that's the idea behind these lessons, is to get you to play exactly or as close to exactly as what the keyboard players on some of these recordings are playing. So that you can play along, number one, and also that you can get an idea of what they were doing, what their role was, and how they were interpreting what their role was. So we're looking at the specific part of the keyboard player. Now there's one little note I have to make, and that is on this recording there's more than one keyboard player, so it did become a balance at times of trying to figure out what is absolutely essential to be played and what's impossible to play because we only have two hands. So the way we're going to learn this lesson is we're going to break it into parts. The verse and the chorus and sections like that, they might be 4 or 8 measures long, but they repeat over and over and over again. So once we've learned them once, we've really learned them 2 or 3 times. It's much easier to break it into parts and think about the song as component parts than it is to think about starting at the beginning and ending 3.5 minutes later and having to remember 3.5 minutes of music the whole time through, when in actuality, we really only need to remember maybe 24 or 32 bars of music broken into 4 or 5 different sections. So that's what we're going to do here, is break it into sections and learn those individual sections. Once we learn the individual sections, you'll notice at the bottom of the sheet music, I have the form written down. So you take these individual sections and you piece them side by side in the order that I've written out there, and you will then be able to play right along with the recording. That form will line up perfectly with the recording, and the idea there is so that you can play along and get practice, playing with that recording and learning the form. And I would probably make another little piece of advice would be to practice memorizing these sections as you go. So trying to commit these 4 and 8 bar sections to your memory as you go through them, so that by the time you're all done, you got the whole tune memorized, and you can just sit there and play along, and you don't need any music at that point. So that's pretty much it. Playing along with the music with the recording is a really big part of this, because once we learn the big chunk, the big piece information things like the right notes and the right fingerings and the right rhythms, then we want to start to learn some of the more refined, nuanced at times, musical details like phrasing and attack and articulation, not just what we're playing, but the way we're playing and how we're, even just striking the keys at the keyboard or the piano become really important. And you can learn a lot from trying to play, exactly like the piano player or the keyboard player on the record, copying them and trying to be like a chameleon, blending into their role on the record. So I'm really excited to get started, and I'll see you inside the lesson.
Thanks for taking a look at this video. If you'd like to be notified the next time I release free content on YouTube, you can click on the subscribe button on this page. It's absolutely free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, if you'd like to study with me for free for 30 days, click on the Piano Success Playbook in the bottom left-hand side, and you'll get 30 days of lessons absolutely free of charge. I look forward to working with you in the next lesson.